One disturbing trend I have found within Christendom is what I call the New Calvinism. Advocates of this view, such as James White, believe that all human behavior is determined, meaning that no one has a will autonomous of God's will. They also believe that we have free choice, and that determinism is compatible with this free choice. I find this trend very disturbing, and I do want to see it stopped. Here is an argument against compatibilism, based on an argument by Peter van Inwagen called the consequence argument. However, this version of the consequence argument avoids the flaws found in earlier versions of van Inwagen's consequence argument, and thus improves upon it. So first, let's begin by defining two things: free choice. Something is a free choice if it is up to us. If some fact is up to us, then we have the ability to render it false. For example, the fact Drew is wearing a white shirt is up to me because I can render it false, such as by taking it off. Now, entailment is the relationship between two sentences where the truth of one requires the truth of the other. If X entails Y, then if X is true, Y must be true. If Y is false, X must be false. Theistic determinism is the idea that all things are determined by the decree of God. The divine decree entails all facts. Now on to the argument. If theistic determinism is true, then here are the following implications. 1. The eternal decree of God is not up to us. 2. The fact that the eternal decree of God entails all future facts is not up to us. The theistic determinist would gladly assent to these two premises. To them, God's will is autonomous and ours is not. This leads us to premise 3 of my argument. If some fact X is not up to us, and X entails some fact Y, then Y is not up to us. Or more simply, if something is not up to us, anything it entails is not up to us. Which means, if we cannot render a certain fact false, we cannot render something that the fact entails false. By combining premises 1, 2, and 3, we get 4, no future fact is up to us. But of course, compatibilism states that there are future facts entailed by the decree of God that are up to us, and therefore, compatibilism is false. Now, premise 3 is to say that if we cannot render some fact X false, and X entails Y, we can't render Y false. This is logically equivalent to saying that if we can render Y false, then we can render X false. Let's plug in some examples to illustrate this point. If the fact that the sun is yellow is not up to us, and the fact that the sun is yellow entails the fact that the sun has a color, then the fact that the sun has a color is not up to us. Or more simply, if the fact that the sun is yellow is not up to us, then the fact that the sun has a color is not up to us. Or if the fact that President Lincoln was assassinated was not up to us, then the fact that President Lincoln was killed was not up to us. If the fact that the moon orbits the Earth is not up to us, then the fact that something orbits the Earth is not up to us. Premise 3 should seem obviously true, yet I've discussed this with compatibilists online, and they think it's false. So can I come up with any additional arguments for this premise? I think so. Let's assume first, for argument's sake, that premise 3 is false. Well, what follows? We'd say that some fact X is not up to us, and X entails some fact Y, but Y is up to us. We can restate this as, some fact Y is up to us, X entails Y, but X is not up to us. Which means we can render some fact Y false, X entails Y, but we cannot render X false. This is to say that X entails Y, Y is false but X is true. But this is a contradiction. This contradicts what entailment means. And here's an example to illustrate. The fact that you are wearing a shirt entails the fact that you are not naked. If premise 3 is false, it would lead to situations, or at least the possibility of situations, where you are naked but you're not shirtless. This is just incoherent. If the fact that you are wearing a shirt entails that you are not naked, then you can't be both naked and wearing a shirt. And so if premise 3 is false, it leads to a contradiction, and therefore premise 3 cannot be false, and hence compatibilism is false. Shalom Aleichem.